I'd like to call the order of the meeting of the Finance Committee. I'll be serving as the chair. The committee consists of Councilor Gould, Councilor Manning Martin, Councilor McGinn, and Councilor Turco. First item on the agenda is a loan order relocation and upgrade of Route 1 water mains. Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here today on a couple of requests. The first is to approve funding for a loan order in the amount of $2,756,000 for the relocation and upgrade of the Route 1 water main project. You have the paperwork in front of you regarding the two phases that we're looking to move forward on, hopefully this year. First one is Phase 1, the replacement of older 6-inch unlined cast iron water mains currently under Route 1 with over 5,000 linear feet of two 12-inch lined ductile iron water mains along the north and southbound breakdown lanes. And Phase 2, the replacement of a section of older 10-inch unlined cast iron water main currently in the Route 1 median with over 3,000 linear feet of 12-inch lined ductile iron water main. And really, we're looking to go from two spots. Phase 1 would go to pretty much the intersection of Route 1 and Route 95, going northbound, all the way to approximately kind of in the area of Reds. And then the second phase would be from the Reds to Dearborn Road. It's about 1 mile stretch of road. That line we've constantly had trouble because it goes from 6-inch to 12-inch to 8-inch to 10-inch lines. And it's caused a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of backup. And we think this infrastructure improvement would pay great dividends for the city in allowing water to flow more quickly, and we think would make an improvement for water pressure in the area that has long plagued some of those neighborhoods in that Route 1 corridor. We think it's a great investment to improve this infrastructure, again, with many benefits that will allow us different options in the years ahead. As you know, we have some big decisions to make as a city in terms of future of water distribution. And we believe this project, being a standalone project, will have great benefits to us. The good news was that we were able to receive funding from the MSBA. It's a no-interest loan, 10-year loan. And really, the city of Peabody, or all communities that are members of the MSBA, excuse me, I keep saying MSBA, MWRA. I have MSBA on the brain, sorry. All these acronyms. MWRA, Massachusetts Water Resource Authority. They offer cities and towns within the MWRA community a $500,000 annual loan for a project. This year, we were able to get a $2.7 million full approval from MWRA, again, no interest loan. This was something we were looking to do as part of our capital request, but certainly being in this position where we would have a no interest loan, we thought this was the more prudent route to go down and pay this off over the next 10 years at no interest. We believe, again, many benefits to this project. Our Director of Public Works, Dave Terranzoni, is here. We've been working with the MWRA, with Weston and Sampson on this project for a number of years, and very excited to move forward and hoping, if all things go well, that we'll be able to do this project in this fall. One other added benefit to doing this project now is we've been notified that Route 1 is scheduled to be repaved. That whole stretch of Route 1 is scheduled to be repaved in 2019, possibly 2020. So doing this work would be, we think, is the appropriate time in light of, which I'm very excited about, having that Route 1 paved, that whole stretch of road. Happy to answer any questions.
Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it's a interest-free loan program that the MWRA offers. So when I hear interest-free, I hear no strings attached. It just sounds too good to be true. So what's in it for the MWRA? What's the benefit and what is behind their offering an interest-free loan?
This is the second time we took advantage of this. We took advantage, you may recall, when we did the Gardner Park infrastructure work. That was approximately $1 million, a 10-year loan, very similar to this. Quite frankly, Councilor, they have money. They are looking to do projects. They are required to put a certain percentage of their money into an account to allow for this type of service to their communities, the different communities within their overall structure, Peabody being one of them. And there's no strings attached. It's $275,000 for approximately for the next 10 years.
And are there requirements that we pay X amount by a certain date, or we have to pay, an interest, when you get those credit cards, roll over your loan and pay by this date, or you get whacked for 40%?
Those big balloon payments
Yes,
that destroyed
yes.
so many people's lives.
Yeah, exactly. Are there any balloons hiding?
No, I mean, certainly, and Mr. Gingras is here to answer that, that is not part of the loan agreement.
And I see that this will be out towards West Peabody side. Would we be offering water, and towards the Linfield line, will we be offering water to Linfield? Do we offer water to Linfield, and do you have plans in the future to offer water to Linfield? Because this would be the mechanism by which that water would get there, if that's the case, correct?
So there's a couple things in play, and that's a good question. And these are decisions that we're going to have to make in the very near future. We may have the ability to connect to MWRA in the future along that Route 1 line. Right now, the MWRA pipes end approximately where the Ship restaurant was on Route 1. There's a possibility and a proposal that they would connect to the Peabody line to allow us to connect and then potentially utilize MWRA water for the western part of the city, that corridor in the western part of the city. The Winona treatment plant, we have to make a decision on the future of the Winona treatment plant. We are going to have to put a significant investment into the Winona treatment plant and continue the operations as we have, or we make a decision to go with MWRA. That's the big decision that we as a community have to make probably within the next year or two. So right now, Linfield, we actually have an agreement, an intermunicipal agreement with Linfield to actually take some water from them if we need to. With the Coolidge Water Treatment Plant, the issues that we have obviously with that fire, we looked to other cities and towns to make sure that we could fully, that our needs were fully met, and we actually sought intermunicipal agreements with some of the neighboring communities. So I think at later meetings, this is going to be an important topic for all of us as to that decision.
Thank you. And with respect to in the future, I think you said that within the next year we'll be making that decision. Is that a decision that would include the council? Do you need our participation or vote, or is that a decision that would fall squarely on you?
If we go the route of a new or significant upgrades to the Winona treatment plant, that would come to you. A decision to move forward and close the Winona treatment plant and move forward with MWRA, I would think that would be at my office.
Okay. Because it's so expensive, the MWRA is so expensive. That's why I wanted to know in advance if we will be having any input on whether we go and whether we link in and use MWRA. So that's why I'm asking now if we will have input on it or if you need our vote. So that's why I wanted to know now. Thank you.
Absolutely. And my intention, and it might even be, we may even have to make that decision earlier than a year. But my intention is, and I would like to keep this in committee for future meetings, we're doing a cost-benefit analysis right now to determine, from a financial point of view, what's the better road for us to take. Certainly when we start getting into those discussions, I want to make sure that everyone has that information as we make that decision. To me, that's probably the most important decision, or one of the most important decisions we're going to have to make over the next year.
Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. I just had a couple of quick questions, Mr. Mayor. I noticed on the last page we got in our packet, it talks about the vote that was made at the MWR meeting. And it looks like they waived a one-time exemption to give us our funds. The thing that, the sentence that got me, it said, to allow the city of Peabody to borrow up to its entire $2.756 million water loan allocation. So do they give us, because we're part of them, an allocation every year? And if we take this entire amount, are we then not going to be able to participate in any future loans if need be down the line? And not that, I'm just curious if you know what's behind that sentence or what that means.
Sure. Every community under the umbrella of the MWRA is entitled to $500,000 every year.
Okay.
To go over that amount, you have to get a specific vote from the board of directors. This year being 2.7, that was certainly a large amount, much more than they typically give. But there have been, so I've been mayor 6 years. There have been 4 years where we haven't sought that money. So, if we came back with I would think a multi-million-dollar project next year, I think that would be very difficult. But I think in terms of the size of the city of Peabody, the scope of the projects we've needed, rather than taking them in short bits, a few $100,000 here or there, we felt it prudent to ask for significant money for these projects. And the MWRA has been supportive of that.
I'm very happy to support this tonight. I know there are the people at Huntington Woods, the neighborhoods of Brooksby Farm, Council Cherest area, and in my own area, we'll be very happy to hear this, because it really has been a little bit of an issue, the water pressure over the number of years. And as we continue to add more residences, commercial business up and down Route 1, it's not going to get better. So I'm going to fully support this, and I'm glad to see that we're paying 0% interest. Thank you very much.
Councilor Turco, could you just answer that? Just 1 second. Is that going to affect the water pressure?
Yes, we think that this is going to be a positive impact on that. And that's one of the reasons that we want to move forward with it. It's not the sole answer, certainly, but we do think it's going to make a positive impact.
Perfect. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Much in line with Councilor Manning's question. So in no way does taking out this loan obligate us to join MWRA, because I think, although you may eventually go that route, I personally am hopeful you don't. But reading page 3 of this packet that's supplied to us, it says MWRA's goal in providing financial assistance to member communities is to improve local water systems to help maintain high-quality water as it passes from MWRA's facilities through local pipelines to customers. So it almost sounds like we're obligated to use their water if we agree to do this work. And I just want to make sure that we're not obligated to do that.
We won't be connected to MWRA through this project. We take about 30% when Coolidge is operating fully. We're taking about 30% of MWRA water at this time. 70% is city-owned through the Coolidge Water Treatment Plant. So no, we wouldn't even be able to connect right now to MWRA, and I can tell you fully that this is in no way a precursor to an agreement with them. I think both positions have strong arguments for and against, and that's why I feel that a full analysis has to be done, a financial analysis, impact on neighborhoods, water pressure, all of that has to be presented. And certainly I'll be sharing that fully with all of you, and I'm going to want all of your thoughts and opinions on it.
Thank you. And just the last question. In the previous meeting, you had mentioned the current MWRA feed goes up to, I think you said, the Christmas tree shops, and that MWRA had agreed that they would extend that pipe. Where are they going to extend that to?
Well, they haven't agreed to do that. That's been a proposal. Right now, it's around the ship, the Christmas tree shops. The ship is gone now. So right at the Christmas tree shops, that's where their pipe ends. There is a proposal, and it's just a design right now, that they could come up to the Peabody line and connect to our infrastructure. That is a significant investment on MWRA's part. And if we decide not to go in that direction, I don't think they would do that project.
Thank you.
Councilor Cherest.
Thank you, Chairman. Even though I'm not part of this committee, I do appreciate the opportunity. As Councilor Sasslaw had indicated earlier, I do support this, and when it comes to the vote of the whole, anything that helps the water pressure in my district, it certainly is appreciative. And I know we've been talking about this for the last over 2 years. So I do know, I do appreciate that any effort to improve the water pressure in my residents, Ward 4, is certainly appreciative. So thank you.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just procedurally, I know you put this on a parallel path to refer it to the committee and advertise at the same time it's ready for adoption. What are you looking for out of the committee? Would it be just a recommendation?
A recommendation to adopt
To
as
adopt.
advertised, and we'll bring it out to
Right.
out to the regular committee.
I would make that as a motion. So moved.
Thank you, kind sir. The motion is to adopt as advertised. The recommendation to borrow $2,756,000 from MWRA at no interest for the purposes of adding the infrastructure as described by the mayor. On the motion, seeing none, roll call.
Councilors McGinn,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Manning Martin,
Yes.
Turco,
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is the transfer of funds for the Crystal Lake project in the amount of $750,000. The fund sources would be the unreserved balance for the amount of $500,000 and the bond premium reserved for projects $250,000 for a total of $750,000. Mr. Mayor.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, councilors. Here today with our Finance Director, Mr. Gingras, who can certainly answer some of the financial questions, the breakdown, as well as our Director of Public Works, Dave Terranzoni. This is the request really to fund Phase 2. Phase 1 was the difficult work. That was the excavation of over almost 50,000 cubic yards of sediment and material at the bottom of Crystal Lake. That work has been completed, and now we're moving on to Phase 2, which is really the enhancements to the area. The docks for fishing and for canoeing, paddle boats, picnic areas, gazebos, some of the trail work that'll take place, a fountain in the middle, a continuation of the tree cutting and the thinning of some of the trees, the branches in that area to give better views. And really, this is the community type of enhancements that we've been looking to make to truly make this the family-friendly environment that all of us want. The comments, I'm sure many of you have heard the comments from residents and people in the city have been very positive. For the first time, I'm hearing people say that they understand why it's called Crystal Lake, because when the sun is out, it's really pretty spectacular. I can't think of quite the word for it, but the shimmering off of the lake is pretty spectacular. So this is the fun part. Certainly a lot less than the money that we went forward in the dredging, and not nearly the type of work that's going to be taking place. We have already in place Sumco. They were the lowest bidder. Sumco was a company that we're very familiar with, that we're very pleased to have as the contractor, the construction company for this project. Sumco did the South Peabody Trail for us that runs along Spring Pond, and that project went pretty well. So we're very happy to have them on board. Looking forward to it. We're hopeful they're ready to start pretty soon and begin, again, the enhancements and the community part of this project. Certainly here to answer any questions, as well as Mr. Gingras to answer any questions about the finances and what's got us to this point.
Councilors, questions? Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see that there's a notation here that $613,000 was generated from the landfill becoming part of free cash. Is that due to the process that they had going, taking landfill in, that the mistakes were made and addressed, and it came from that, right? So that's all that it generated was $613,000. I thought the number was much larger.
So this is money generated, and Mr. Gingras will break the numbers down for you better. There was 2 permits that we were allowed by the DEP for this project. The first was just the permit to take in up to 750 tons for the actual sediment and material that was at the bottom of the lake. Then there was a second permit, 750 tons per day, for what was called the cover fill, just the fill that went over the material that was taken from Crystal Lake to stabilize it, to mask the odor, and both those permits. The first permit from Crystal Lake, we didn't receive income for. That was our own, and we were able to save a great deal of money by not having to truck it elsewhere. And I'm not sure if the project would have been possible if we had to truck it and transport it to another city. But there was money to be made on the second, and that's money that came to the city of Peabody, went into our general fund, and Mr. Jingles can break that money down for you.
So last fiscal year, we collected $613,000 from landfill revenue, which, when we do the year-end closing, drops to free cash, and that's what we're requesting tonight, to transfer $500,000 from that free cash number. In the current fiscal year, we've accumulated in that account another $1 million approximately, of which $400,000 is unencumbered, because we anticipated collecting $600,000 to fund the budget.
So what was the total number?
Approximately 1.6 over
That's
the
what I
life of the
thought.
project.
Okay, so 1.6 million is what we got from that whole process, right? So on this, you're only noting that 613 was generated from that. But it was really 1.6.
Well, what I'm indicating is that the prior fiscal year, this is what occurred. And until we close out this fiscal year, we can't even use it.
So there was still another 1 million that, and when you close out, that 1 million is going to go to, go into the general fund if we're over, and then again go to free cash
Exactly.
for 2019.
2018.
2018. Okay, so this is 2017. Okay, so you're asking for all of the money that was generated or that went into the general fund from that project, from the Crystal Lake activity, all of that you're asking to go to Crystal Lake from free cash. Is that correct?
I'm asking for 500,000 out of the 613.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other questions? Being none, Council McGinn.
Move to approve the transfer from the unreserved fund balance in the amount of $500,000 and the bond premium reserve for projects in the amount of $250,000 to the Crystal Lake project account in the amount of $750,000. So moved.
On the motion, Councilman.
Yes,
Councilman Martin.
question, could we have either through you to the mayor or to Mr. Gingrich, could you explain, please, the bond premium reserve projects and the 250? Again, I'm wondering why you're not asking for all the 613 and dipping into another that was made from that project, and then you're dipping into another fund, the bond premium reserve for projects. So I just wanted to know the rationale of why you're going into another fund.
We had some funds available through bond premiums when we issued a bond last year, and I wanted to utilize a portion of that because it's reserved for projects, and in anticipation of coming back to the council for approximately $1.1 million in snow and ice money that we would have to come out of that free cash fund. So I broke it up, the 500,000 and 250,000.
So the overage of 1 million, you're probably, sounds like you're going to ask for snow removal.
Right.
See how I figure this stuff out? Thank you.
Roll call.
Councilors McGinn.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great. Thank you, Council, and I'll keep you updated on both projects moving forward. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.